on, guys? Good morning. I hope you're having a beautiful start to the day. All right, we are getting this kicking off. So, going live across all of the socials, and we're going to be starting this one in 2 minutes, team. So if you're coming into this one live, you know the drill. We are here for the podcast, the midweek podcast, and we are going to be kicking start this one in 2 minutes. If you're coming into this one live, let's go. Let's get stuck into the comments there. Let us know that you're here. And this video, we're going back to a mindset style video because I'm kind of wanting to address, I guess, a few concerns or questions that have come through, comments rather to come through from a few of our lovely clients. So if you're joining us live, like Mr. Sean Duras is, hello Shawnee, how are you, buddy? Then get down in the comments there, guys, and let us know that you're here and you're ready to rock and roll. So it looks like it's a bit chilly back at home. Good morning, Ash. I hope you're well. I hope you guys are staying fine. G'day, Benny Mitchell. How are you, mate? Love that I have your company in here as well, pal. Hello, Tez. Good morning, brother. We have got our first sunny, like proper sunny day. It's nice and hot here, which is good. And I've been working all morning on some stuff, this podcast included, which we're going to be starting in 1 minute, guys. Nice work on the cardio there this morning, Tez. Love your work. And I haven't had a chance to send it through to you individually, Ash, but what a great little thing that you did for yourself last weekend, mate. Super duper freaking proud of you. Oh, so good. Hello, Benny Robinson. How are you, mate? Guys, we're starting this one up in 30 seconds, and we are going to crack this open. Hello, Kath. Love that I have your company here, mate. Guys, if you've been in and you're getting the value, make sure that you hashtag live or say hi in the comments, and then if you come in later on replay, please hashtag replay so we know you've been here. All right, guys, I think we are ready to rock this. So we're going to bring in Instagram and TikTok and our friends over there. And let's get stuck into this on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and stupid unsustainable plans. And so in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 10 reasons why you are not following through. Now, first of all, I want to congratulate everyone who is partaking either within inside of Better Body Academy or external to Better Body Academy. Those of you that are putting into the push-up challenge. It's really challenging doing upwards of 100 push-ups a day. But this is what it's about, right? It's about doing hard things. And it's in support of a very good cause. So to those of you that are partaking in the push-up challenge, congratulations. I believe we're about just over the halfway mark. I don't know, but my chest is feeling all the better as a result of it. So guys, keep getting involved. This is a really good initiative, I think. And the fact that you're partaking in something is really difficult is incredible. So let's get into the context of today's discussion. I want to do a bit of a deep dive into the mindset of someone who is feeling a little bit stuck. And the goal of this live is to try to help get a few people unstuck. And if you're listening to this podcast, it's likely because you're wanting to change something about your body. And in 90% of cases, that's going to involve losing body fat, right? For most of us, that's part of the goal. Now, what seems like a really simple process, according to the science of fat loss, is clearly not that simple. It's clearly the science of fat loss and calorie management seems anything but simple to so many people. If it was so simple, we wouldn't have half the world that is obese. We wouldn't have so many people suffering with things like diabetes and heart disease. We wouldn't have such high mental health rates. And so what we're really struggling when it comes to with weight loss is not the knowing, it's the doing. How do I get myself to do the thing that I don't really want to do? And the reason that I'm doing this podcast episode specifically is one of our most beautiful clients, I'm not going to name names, just in chatting to her over the last couple of days, is this kind of feeling of like, I don't know why, but I just can't do the thing that I want to do. I can't do it. And it feels almost like the decision is external to her, right? Look, it's just beyond me. I can't do it. You guys ever feel like that? Whether you're watching on live or on replay, give me a silent head nod. If you ever feel like, I don't know, I know what I need to do, but I just can't do it. I reckon a really good proportion of the population would be able to tell you exactly how to lose fat. They would be able to tell you about the much famed calorie deficit. But it's the implementation and the adherence to the calorie deficit that is the struggle for most people. It's not the knowing, it's the doing. I've got Jesse on TikTok saying that is executive dysfunction. Yeah, exactly. So for me, this is because our mindsets and our emotions influence our behaviors. Our mindsets and our emotions influence our behaviors. We are so fucking entangled in our own shit that we get overwhelmed and we get anxious. And when we're in those states, we're paralyzed from actually taking action, right? You ever felt like that? And if you start to do that for more than a few days where you're anxious and you're paralyzed by taking action and you end up stuck, and then you call it, I'm going through this patch. You want to know what the ultimate eroder, the ultimate killer of confidence and self-trust is for a human? It's constantly breaking your word. Have you ever had a partner or a best friend that keeps saying that they're going to do something and they keep not doing it? They keep not following through? Have you ever had that? It's almost okay at the start. We kind of accept it the first or second time. But if it keeps happening, we start to distrust and loathe that person. And that's exactly how we're getting to this point of distrusting ourselves and losing all self-belief. We say we're going to do it. We don't follow through for reasons we're going to talk about in this podcast episode. And then each time we do that, we break trust with ourselves. And the more times we break trust in ourselves, the more times our confidence gets eroded. So what I want to do here is go through 10 reasons why you might not be following through. And the moment that I say 10 reasons, people are going to go, oh, there's 10, there's too many, I'm doing all of them. My hope is that if I can just bring awareness in this episode, you might be able to pick out one or two of these things, just one or two, not all of them, and do something about it. So let's get stuck into this. The first 10. Number one, and this is going to be something that you guys are going to go, oh yeah, fine. I work hard and, I'm all on top of that. And that is inadequate sleep and stress. Inadequate sleep and stress. I think if people are carrying weight, one of the number one reasons is that they're staying up late and they're doing this in a way to try to feel some sense of relaxation or vegetation or whatever you want to call it. But they're not understanding just how much this is killing their willpower and their ability to implement. I know this firsthand because on the days that I've had 4 to 5 hours of sleep, either because I've gone to bed late or I've been woken up by my kids, I am the worst. My willpower is shit. Yet we've got people living in this chronic state of no sleep. And they're wondering why, why do I struggle to make decisions? Where is my willpower gone? Where is my motivation gone? So as we're doing this, I want you to ask yourself, is this a thing for me? There's no point in just listening and then not doing anything about it. Ask yourself, is this a thing for you? Are you the type of person that's kind of going to bed at midnight and then getting up at 6 or so and we're just kind of scraping by? If that's you, fat management, weight management is going to be so fucking difficult all of the time because at the very top level, you are not giving your body the ability to repair itself. Your willpower is going to be crap, your discipline is going to be horrible, and your behavior is going to be reactive to your circumstances. You're going to crave high sugar, high fat foods because you're so tired. Does this make sense? Number 2 is a lack of a deeper why. a lack of a deeper why. So I think a lot of people start a journey and they start the journey from a place of pain, right? They're driven because they tried the dress on and it didn't fit and they felt fat in it. Or they realized that they had to get a new work uniform because the one that they put on felt horrible. Or their partner stopped sleeping with them. Or whatever the reason. This is a good reason to get started. This is the reason why most people get started. Have a think about your journey so far. Why did you get started? It's likely because something happened which brought the pain that was in the future into the present moment. That's what usually happens. That's when people usually contact us. Okay? But over time, that pain wears off. That pain wears off, particularly when you lose the first 3 or 4 kilograms. And so if your motivation, if I said to you right now, and guys, a lot of you are like able to listen along and kind of interact. Just if I asked you right now, what are you doing this for? Can you tell me the reason you're doing this? Because if the reason you're doing it is, I want to lose fat, I'm going to tell you that that's just not going to last very long. When things get difficult, when the kids are screaming, when you feel tired, when your time is low, you are not going to execute if the reason that you're doing this is just that you don't want to be fat anymore. Does this make sense? So you've got to dig down and ask yourself, why do I actually care? What's my below the surface level why? Not just so I don't hate myself anymore. What do you stand to gain out of this? And if you don't have that clear, the moment things get tough, you're going to have nothing to fall back on. Number 3, I think this is so important because everyone knows what to do, but they haven't actually got an implementation plan to do it. And number 3 is a lack of implementation plan. I'll give you an example of what I mean by this. So you might know that it's desirable for you to try to get your step count up. So you're just a little bit more moving around a bit more, right? You might know that. I know that I want to do 10,000 steps every day. I know that I want to train in the gym 3 times a week. I know that I want to eat in a calorie deficit. In fact, I might even have it dialed that the deficit target that I want to be at is 2,200 calories and 200 grams of protein. I might know those details. What of the implementation? What's your actual strategy to do that today? Like, honestly, as long as you've been in our academy, ask yourself, what's your strategy today? If you're struggling with your weight and you're not really sure what's going on, well, just ask yourself, have I actually got a strategy today? Am I tracking my nutrition with MyFitnessPal as the day goes? Have I identified the times when I'm going to be able to get my steps up? When am I actually going to the gym? As an example, it's the fact that the implementation remains up in our heads and not down onto a plan in our diary that we don't do it. It has been shown you are, I believe the figure is twice as likely to do the thing if you've committed it to your calendar. So one of the things you can do on a Sunday or a Monday, whatever's better for you, is just sit down and ask yourself, if I'm going to get serious about this weight loss thing, when am I actually going to do the things that I know I need to do? Because if it remains I'll do it when I can fit it in thing, I'm going to guarantee you that the world is going to conspire to put more important things in your way. Number 4 is constant distractions that are leading to no time, right? We're running out of time. I know this firsthand because I create the same problem in my own life. And these constant distractions might be little errands that aren't that important, but I prioritize those things because they're easier to do. And this takes me away from doing the things that I need to do. As an example, I might have to go to the post office to pick up an Amazon parcel that got delivered there instead of my house because I wasn't home. That's not an urgent matter. Yet, I might prioritize it as an urgent matter to distract myself from the things that need to be done. And this goes back to the one before it. If you don't have an implementation plan and you're constantly distracted by other things around the peripherals that aren't going to make a shit of difference to your life, trying to move forward is going to be really, really difficult. So ask yourself, what are the main distractions in your life? What are they? What are the things that are kind of leading to you going off course? All right, let's get to number 5. A refusal to see the process as simple. A refusal to see the process as simple. The nature of humans is that we want to make things more complicated than they are. Fair? Something like fat loss that is scientifically very fucking simple, like extremely simple. We want to make it more complicated to try to justify why we find it so hard. It's not because it's a complicated process. It's because it becomes complicated by our emotions, by our changes to our behavior that happen as a consequence of our life. Does this make sense? If we refine it down to the simple things that work, it goes like this. You need to eat better. You need to move a bit more. And you need to lift weights. That's it. There's nothing else. Nothing else. 3 things, nothing else. But every part of you wants to believe that there's more to it than that. Because then that explains why it's so hard to implement in your subconscious mind. Does that make sense? But it's not. It's extremely simple. And if you keep bringing it back to this 3-part framework, which we call the trifecta, if you bring it back to this 3-part framework, what's my nutrition strategy? What's my movement strategy? What's my lifting or metabolism strategy? If you get those 3 things right, fat will come off. Not maybe, it will. Number 6, and that is an unwillingness to take what one of my coaches calls B+ action. I really love this way of thinking. You know, one of the things that stands out to me is when I went to high school and was trying to get into university, I studied every available moment to make sure that I got the highest grades that I could possibly get so that I could get into uni. But then what I quickly found out was that once I was in uni, my chances of being hired when I graduated had fuck all to do with what grades I got in university. The only thing that mattered was I had the degree, and then the most important thing was, can this guy relate? Is he employable? Is he going to be the type of guy that's going to work well with our clientele? And I think we have the wrong frame when we're taking action in our own life. We're really unwilling to take B+ action. We want to get this like A++ grade, but that's not going to serve us any better than just passing. Does this make sense? It doesn't matter that you didn't have a 10 out of 10 gym session. It matters that you went to the gym. It doesn't matter that you didn't track everything in MyFitnessPal. It matters that you ate well. It doesn't matter that you didn't hit 10,000 steps. It matters that you were more active than you usually are. Does this make sense? Taking B+ messy action is the route forward. Let's keep going. Number 7. These are the reasons why you may be not following through. You have unresolved issues or trauma from your past that are shaping your current reality and therefore shaping what you deem your worthiness. Does this one make sense? So perhaps something's happened in your past, either your fault or not your fault, but somehow shaped the perception that you have of yourself and your worthiness. And every morning you look at yourself in the mirror And some part of you feels that you don't deserve to become unstuck. So you don't do the thing. And the reason that you don't do the thing is because you don't think you're worthy enough. Your brain is in this kind of your mind is in this fracturing where if I do the thing and change my life, and all of a sudden things become really great and I start to feel great, I'm not deserving of that. So we will go and self-sabotage in the process. What do you do about that if that's you? Well, I'm not a grief counselor, but I've got to think that it's going to have something to do with getting to the root issue of whatever trauma or unresolved issues there are in the past. Because if you continue to be shaped by them, freeing yourself is just not going to happen. We've got 3 more. Number 8 is the total avoidance of discomfort. One of the things that's like pervasive in today's society for me is people telling you, you should only do things that you feel like. Now, whether you're spiritual or not is kind of irrelevant. I want you to think about that from simply a growth perspective. If we only do things that we feel like, what chance have we got of growing? Like 0. Change is conditional. And a great example of this is going to the gym. If you lift the same weight over and over and over again, and you just keep lifting the same weight, nothing changes because your body is not being stimulated to overcome itself. So I think this unwillingness to get uncomfortable, it's kind of like the moment things get hard, we just like wave the red flag. It's like, I'm out. Why do we do that? I think it's because most of us don't want to be judged as failures. It's like, having a podcast like this where there's a very real 50% chance that half the people that come to this podcast thinks to themselves, this guy is a fucking idiot. I hate him. Well, I've got to the point where I don't care. I'm not here for you. That's a you problem. I'm here to serve the people that I can help. So if you're not showing up in your life because you're worried about the judgment and you're avoiding that discomfort for the fear of failure, it's you that you're doing a disservice to. Number 9, you're not doing the thing because you started doing the thing and then you perceived that you had a lack of progress. And maybe it was that when you started doing the thing, you were looking at the wrong indicators. Maybe you started doing the thing and you looked at the scale weight as the metric. When if you asked yourself, if you were 5 kilos lighter, would you be infinitely happier? Probably not. But if you were 5 kilos lighter, would you be able to do more in your life? Would you be able to move more? Would you have more energy? Would your confidence potentially go up? The answers to all of that, probably yes. So if you're only paying attention to the metric of the scale weight, that's giving you a warped perception around your progress. I had a great conversation with my wife an hour ago where she said, Jace, I'm 50 days into my own challenge. She's doing a little transformation challenge for herself. She's tracked nearly everything she's put in her mouth and she feels great. In addition to that, she feels like her body composition is changing quite quickly. Her scale weight has not changed a bit in 50 days. Nothing. 0. She weighs exactly the same. Now, if we perceive that lack of progress on the scales is a lack of growth entirely, we've missed all the available stuff that's there for us. Now, I am going to pick out one of the ladies that I know is watching this. Kathy, you really stand out because for the first time, it seems in your life for a long time at least, you're starting to view things through a different lens that isn't just weight. It helps that you've got scale weight changes, but there's more that's going on here. You're growing as a person. You're feeling connected to a community. You're being accountable and showing up for yourself. That grows your confidence and self-worth. There are more metrics than the scale weight. So we're going to finish off with number 10. And number 10, the reason that most people are not following through is that they're unwilling to burn the boats. They're unwilling to go full submersion into a new life. And that probably stems from being really scared about both failure and success. Think about it. If you burn the boats and think to yourself, you know what? I'm going to lose this 30 kilos and I'm not going back. I'm going to do this for my family. I'm going to change my lifestyle. I'm all fucking in. If you go all in, there is, of course, a risk that you fail for part of that. And so if you're worried about what the perception of other people are when you mess it up, what happens then? A great example of this is my client, Sean Duras, who I think is watching. He was the first one into this podcast. Sean has gone all in on himself. He quit a job that he was getting paid a decent sum of money because he just wasn't being fulfilled in it anymore. That is fucking brave given he didn't have another job to go to. But he's all in on himself. And he's not worried about the way he's thinking is, look, if I've got a roof over my head and I back myself, I'm not worried about what other people think. I'm not doing it for other people. I spent the rest of my life trying to be validated by other people. This is my time. So at a certain point, you've got to burn the boats. You've got to be willing to just head out without fear of what's behind. And as Coach Mike in our academy talks about, he says there's a reason the front window of a car is infinitely bigger than the rear vision. Because if you keep looking back, you never get to move forward. So guys, I'm going to recap the 10 reasons that you may not be implementing. Number 1, first and foremost, you've got a lack of sleep and you're overstressing. Number 2, you haven't scratched the surface of why you actually care. Number 3, you know what to do, but you haven't gone about getting out of your head and onto paper about how you're actually going to do it. Number 4, constantly got these distractions which are leading you away, and they're the things that scream the loudest, but they're driving you away from the thing that's actually the most important. Number 5, you have a refusal to see it as simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. The process of losing fat and changing your body is simple, but it's not easy. Number 6, there's some unwillingness to take B+ action. Stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to get grade A+++. It's not going to get you any better a body. If you show up and you're consistent and you believe that the plan is simple, that's what will get you the body you want. If you've got some unresolved issues from the past, the chances are, unless you reconcile them, you're not going to be able to move forward. So don't deny them, bring them forward. Number 8 is an avoidance of discomfort. Don't believe these like gurus that tell you should only do what you feel like. That's absolute horseshit. It's the exact opposite. You've got to do the things you don't feel like if you want to make progress. Number 9 is the perceived lack of progress because we're looking at the wrong metrics. And number 10 is an unwillingness to burn the boats and go full submersion. Guys, I hope this podcast has been helpful and a little bit of a deep dive into the mindsets that particularly exist around failure and being stuck. This is the Better Body Academy podcast, the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Okay, guys, that's a wrap for this morning. See you later, TikTok. If you want to join, you can find me over at Instagram on JaceStewart_fit, and I'll chat to you then. So, team, hopefully that podcast was helpful and beneficial. These mindset podcasts they're really difficult to do because you've got to challenge people to ask themselves, like, what is it that's actually keeping me stuck? What is it? And a lot of the time we're kind of in a bit of denial, right? And I'm just like you. I go through these patches where motivation is low, and that's just part of the course. But you've got to catch yourself and you've got to say, no, not me. This is me burning the boats. This is me not going back to the old me ever again. And so, Tim, I'm going to love you and leave you from this morning. Hopefully that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening.